Welcome you all. Myself Mandu MK, lecturer in Government Polytechnic Belagavi, Diploma in Commercial Practice. My subject Income Tax Practice, 6th semester, subject code 15CP62T. Now we are in Unit 4, Profits and Gains from Business and Profession. Here we have to study meaning and definition of business, profession, vocation, expenses, expressly allowed, allowable losses, expenses expressly disallowed, expenses allowed on payment basis, problems on business relating to proprietary concern. Now, we have already in the unit 1 and unit 2, we have given the meaning and explanation of business and profession. We are in unit 4, session 3, third session. We have to study section 29, computation of income from business or a profession. ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 21ರ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಅಥವಾ ವೃತ್ತಿಯಿಂದ ಬರುವ ಆದಾಯದ ಲೆಕ್ಕಾಚಾರವನ್ನು ಮಾಡುವಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಮಾಡುವುದು. Earlier in session 1, 2, we have given meaning, explanation and methods also. Now, learning objectives of unit. After studying this unit, the students will be able to understand the meaning of business and profession, identify the incomes chargeable under the head business and profession, learn the process of calculating the net income taxable in case of business profession, identify expenses expressly allowed while calculating the net income, identify the expenses expressly disallowed, identify the expenses and losses allowed while calculating the net income, explain the meaning of certain keywords. This much we have to learn in the unit. ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮತ್ತು ವೃತ್ತಿಯಿಂದ ಲಾಭಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಗಳಿಕೆಗಳು, ಕಲಿಕೆಯ ಘಟಕದ ಧ್ಯೇಯೋದ್ದೇಶಗಳು. ಈ ಘಟಕವನ್ನು ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗುತ್ತದೆ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಮತ್ತು ವೃತ್ತಿಯ ಅರ್ಥವನ್ನು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಲು. ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಮತ್ತು ವೃತ್ತಿ ಎಂಬ ಶೀರ್ಷಿಕೆಯಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಧಿಸಬಹುದಾದ ಆದಾಯವನ್ನು ಗುರುತಿಸಲು, ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ವೃತ್ತಿಯ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ತೆರಿಗೆಗೆ ಒಳಪಡುವ ನಿವ್ವಳ ಆದಾಯವನ್ನು ಲೆಕ್ಕಾಚಾರ ಮಾಡುವ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಯನ್ನು ತಿಳಿಯಲು, ನಿವ್ವಳ ಆದಾಯವನ್ನು ಲೆಕ್ಕಾಚಾರ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಅನುಮತಿಸಲಾದ ವೆಚ್ಚಗಳನ್ನು ಗುರುತಿಸಲು, 5 ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಅನುಮತಿಸದ ವೆಚ್ಚಗಳನ್ನು ಗುರುತಿಸಲು, 6 ನಿವ್ವಳ ಆದಾಯವನ್ನು ಲೆಕ್ಕಾಚಾರ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಅನುಮತಿಸಲಾದ ವೆಚ್ಚಗಳನ್ನು ಮತ್ತು ನಷ್ಟಗಳನ್ನು ಗುರುತಿಸಲು, ಕೆಲವು ಕೀವರ್ಡ್ಗಳ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಪದಗಳ ಅರ್ಥವನ್ನು ವಿವರಿಸಲು. Introduction of the unit. As we know that a person's income can be divided under 5 heads, that is income from salary, income from house property, income from capital gains, income from other sources, and profits and gains of business or profession. Out of these heads, profits and gains of business or profession are most important and largest head. The income business from business to which a person is chargeable under this head represents not the gross receipts from the business but the profits and gains derived from there. For instance, in a case of a businessman, the gross sale proceeds would not be the basis for living tax, but it is not profit or the profit or gain as determined in the accordance with section Income Tax Act 28/44 DB. It means we have to ascertain or obtain or calculate income under the provisions of the Income Tax Act. ಮುನ್ನುಡಿ. ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯ ಆದಾಯವನ್ನು ಸಂಬಳ, ಮನೆ, ಆಸ್ತಿ ಬಂಡವಾಳ ಲಾಭಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಇತರ ಮೂಲಗಳಿಂದ ಬರುವ ಆದಾಯ ಮತ್ತು ಲಾಭ ಅಥವಾ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಅಥವಾ ವೃತ್ತಿಯ ಲಾಭಗಳಂತಹ 5 ಶೀರ್ಷಿಕೆ ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆದಾಯ ತೆರಿಗೆ ಕಾಯ್ದೆ 1961 ಪ್ರಕಾರವಾಗಿ ವಿಂಗಡಿಸಬಹುದು ಎಂದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ತಿಳಿದಿದೆ. ಈ ಶೀರ್ಷಿಕೆಯಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಅಥವಾ ವೃತ್ತಿಯ ಲಾಭಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಗಳಿಕೆಗಳು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಪ್ರಮುಖ ಮತ್ತು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಶೀರ್ಷಿಕೆ. ಈ ಶೀರ್ಷಿಕೆಯಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯು ವಿಧಿಸಬಹುದಾದ ವ್ಯವಹಾರದಿಂದ ಬರುವ ಆದಾಯವು ವ್ಯವಹಾರದಿಂದ ಒಟ್ಟು ರಸೀದಿಗಳನ್ನು ಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಸುವುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಆದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಪಡೆದ ಲಾಭ ಮತ್ತು ಲಾಭಗಳನ್ನು ಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಸುತ್ತದೆ. ಲಾಭ ಮತ್ತು ಲಾಭಗಳನ್ನು ಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಸುತ್ತದೆ. ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ, ಒಬ್ಬ ಉದ್ಯಮಿಯು ವಿಷಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಟ್ಟು ಮಾರಾಟದ ಆದಾಯವು ತೆರಿಗೆ ವಿಧಿಸಲು ಆಧಾರವಾಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಬದಲಿಗೆ ಆದರೆ ಅದು ನಿವ್ವಳ ಲಾಭ ಅಥವಾ ಆದಾಯ ತೆರಿಗೆ ಕಾನೂನು 1961 ವಿಭಾಗ 28ರಿಂದ 44 DB ಪ್ರಕಾರ ನಿರ್ಧರಿಸಿದಂತೆ ಲಾಭ ಅಥವಾ ಗಳಿಕೆಯಾಗಿದೆ. ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮತ್ತು ವೃತ್ತಿಯಿಂದ ಲಾಭಗಳು ಗಳಿಕೆ. The chargeability to tax under Section 28 is based primarily upon the condition that the assessee must have carried on a business or a profession at any time during the accounting year, though not necessarily throughout the accounting year. There are 2 parts of this head. One is business and second is profession. We know already studied the meaning of business, the meaning of profession. ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 28 ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ತೆರಿಗೆ ವಿಧಿಸುವ ಸಾಮರ್ಥ್ಯವು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಪರಿಶೋಧನಾ ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ, ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಯರ್, ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಪರಿಶೋಧಕ ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಅಥವಾ ವೃತ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ನಡೆಸಬೇಕು ಎಂಬ ಷರತ್ತಿನ ಮೇಲೆ ಆಧಾರಿತವಾಗಿದೆ. ಈ ಶೀರ್ಷಿಕೆಯಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ 2 ಭಾಗಗಳಿವೆ, ಒಂದು ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮತ್ತು ಎರಡನೆಯದು ವೃತ್ತಿ. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮತ್ತು ವೃತ್ತಿಯ ಅರ್ಥಗಳನ್ನು, ಅವುಗಳ ವಿವರಣೆಯನ್ನು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ 1ನೇ ಮತ್ತು 2ನೇ ಅಧಿವೇಶನದಲ್ಲಿ ವಿವರಿಸಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ಸ್, ಎಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಓವರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್. ದ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್: we have to take the all incomes, deduct the expenditure. Whatever the balance is available is called as a profits. ಲಾಭಗಳು, ವೆಚ್ಚಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಆದಾಯ. ಲಾಭಗಳೆಂದರೆ ಒಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲ ಆದಾಯಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡಿಸಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಖರ್ಚುಗಳನ್ನು ಕಳೆದಾಗ ಉಳಿಯುವ ಅಂಶವೇ ಲಾಭಾಂಶವಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ಗೇನ್ಸ್, ಎನಿ ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟಲ್ ರೆವೆನ್ಯೂ ಫ್ರಾಮ್ ಬಿಸಿನೆಸ್. ಗಳಿಕೆಗಳು, ವ್ಯವಹಾರದಿಂದ ಯಾವುದೇ ಪ್ರಾಸಂಗಿಕ ಆದಾಯ. As the rules for the assessment of business, profession or vacation are the same, there is no importance of making any distinction between them for income tax purposes. ವ್ಯವಹಾರ, ವೃತ್ತಿ ಅಥವಾ ವೃತ್ತಿಯ ಮೌಲ್ಯಮಾಪನದ ನಿಯಮಗಳು ಒಂದೇ ಆಗಿರುವುದರಿಂದ ಆದಾಯ ತೆರಿಗೆ ಉದ್ದೇಶಗಳಾಗಿ ಅವುಗಳ ನಡುವೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸವನ್ನು ಮಾಡುವ ಪ್ರಾಮುಖ್ಯತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಮೀನ್ಸ್ the computation of income from business and profession are same or similar. Hence, there is no any much differences between these two. But in case of business, usually the businessman will prepare profit and loss account. We have to ascertain profit and loss account as per income tax rules. In case of profession, the person can prepare income and expenditure account or a receipts and payments account. With the help of these two, we can ascertain the income chargeable under the head profession as per IT rules. Section 28, basis of charge. Already we have discussed in session 1. 29, computation of income from business or a profession. Section 30, expenses in respect of business premises. Section 31, revenue expenditure on plant and machinery, furniture and pictures. Section 32, depreciation. Now, already we have given the meaning of these three. Now we have to study the depreciation part. Depreciation under section 32, depreciation on assets is allowed as a deduction. While computing income from business or a profession, to claim this deduction, following conditions should be satisfied. Now, in our financial accounting, we know about depreciation. There are different methods of calculating depreciation. The first one is a straight line method. The second one is a diminishing balance method. The third one is a insurance policy method. The fourth one is a annuity method. And the fifth one is a revaluation method. These are the popular. Out of these two, the income tax have given only two methods are permissible methods of depreciation. The first one is diminishing balance method, or it is also called as a written down value method. Written down value method. And in straight line method, it is this method is used only for a specific products or a specific items. Now, assessee should be owner of the asset. Asset must be used for the business. Such use must be in the previous year. While computing depreciation, to claim the deduction, the following conditions should be satisfied as per law. Assessee should be owner of the business. ಕರದಾತನು ಆ ಆಸ್ತಿಯ ಮಾಲೀಕನಾಗಿರಬೇಕು. ಒಂದನೇ ನಿಯಮ. ಅಸೆಟ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಬಿಸಿನೆಸ್. ಆ ಆಸ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಕಡ್ಡಾಯವಾಗಿ ವ್ಯವಹಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ವೃತ್ತಿಗೆ ಬಳಸಿರಬೇಕು. ಸಚ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್. ಆ ಆಸ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಡ್ಡಾಯವಾಗಿ ಹಿಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸಿರಬೇಕು. Depreciation is allowed not on individual asset items but on block of assets under following categories. As per Income Tax Act, there are 4 groups of assets, block of assets. All assets are charged under this head only. There is, in financial accounting, we are charging depreciation each item separately. But here there are only 4 block of assets. The first block, buildings under this category, plant and machinery, second category, third one is a furniture, and the fourth one is a intangible assets. Intangible assets acquired after 31st March 1998, such as know-how, patents, trademarks, licenses, franchises, or any other business or a commercial rights of a similar nature. The term plant includes ships, vehicles, books, scientific apparatus, and surgical equipment used for the business, but excludes tea buses or in livestock. If any assets falling in block of assets is acquired during the year and put to use during the previous year for less than 180 days, depreciation on such assets shall be restricted to 50 of the normal depreciation. For example, if in one accounting year, in one financial year, the depreciation is used for less than 180 days, Take example, furniture. Furniture used only for 150 days and the rate of depreciation is 10%. Now we have to take 50% of that because the asset is used less than half year. Less than half year. No depreciation is allowed on motor car which is manufactured outside India. Now, suppose if you have purchased any foreign car or the car is completely manufactured outside India, if such car is used for business on or after, it is not allowed. But acquired on or after 1st March 75 but before 1st April 2001. However, there is a some restriction does not apply if assessee carries on a business or a running the car on the hire for a tourist. If assessee is using the car outside India for his business in another country, then it is eligible. If business is carried in a building not owned by the assessee but acquired on a lease or any other occupancy right and any capital expenditure is incurred by him in respect of this building, such expenditure will be considered as cost of assets as if he is a owner of the such property. Now, according to IT Act, if the building is taken on lease basis, under lease basis, the lessee is not the real owner, but he paid some of the amount to the original owner or the landlord. In such cases, the lessee or the assessee is treated as a owner of the building, then we can charge depreciation on building. Methods of calculating depreciation. Consider total written down value of assets falling in a particular block of assets at the beginning of the year. The rule number 1, consider total written down value of assets falling in a particular block of assets at the beginning of the year, add cost of assets purchased during the previous year, deduct sale price or a scrap value of assets sold, discarded, demolished, or destroyed during the year. On the balance amount, that is 1 plus 2 minus 3, calculate depreciation at the given rate. Written down value method becomes negative, no depreciation is allowed. If all assets in the block of assets sold, so depreciation is not allowed, even if block has any balance WDV. If there is no assets or any assets, there is no right, all assets are sold, no depreciation is charged. In the first year, if assets acquired is used for less than 180 days, depreciation is restricted to 50% of the normal depreciation in the beginning of the year or beginning of the year of the asset. For example, in the year 2020-21, if you purchase a machinery on 1st of July, 1st of July, then you can charge, it is used for 9 months in the financial year. It is more than 180 days. Here the full depreciation. If the asset is used less than 180 days, means if the asset is acquired on or after 1/10/2020, automatically the days should be less than 180 days. Here we can charge depreciation at 50% of the normal rate. If the depreciation rate given is 20%, we can charge 10% for that period. With effect from 1998-99, an undertaking engaged in generation, distribution of power has an option to claim depreciation on straight line method. Usually, the Income Tax Act says we have to use return down value method. But in case of engaged in a generation and distribution of power, electricity has an option to claim depreciation on straight line method. Once option is exercised, it will apply to all subsequent years. All the years we have to charge in the same method. Unabsorbed depreciation, section 32T. If profit for the year is not sufficient to absorb depreciation, example, in 1 year, take example in the 2019-20, we have purchased a machinery for 2 lakh rupees. According to rules, the depreciation is 10%. We have to charge 20,000 depreciation. But if that year the total profit is only 10,000, only the gross income is only 10,000, means the depreciation cannot be charged fully. There is a balance of 10,000. There is a balance of 10,000. It is called the funds are not sufficient to absorb depreciation. Because in the beginning of the year, usually the profit is very less. The the remaining the 10,000 depreciation, either fully or partially unabsorbed depreciation, can be deducted from any other head of income. If any other head income are there, take example, income from salary, income from house property, income from capital gain, income from other sources, then we can set up or adjust. If there is no any income to set up, then if still remains unabsorbed, it can be carried forward to the subsequent assessment years to be adjusted against future taxable income. It can be carried forward for unlimited period. We can carry it forward for unlimited period. ಯಾವುದೇ ವರ್ಷ ನಾವು ಸವಕಳಿಯನ್ನು ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಹಾಕಲು ಸಾಧ್ಯವಿಲ್ಲದಿದ್ದರೆ ಲಾಭ ಈಗ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಯಾಗಿ ನಾವು 2015-16ರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಆಸ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಖರೀದಿಸಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಆ ವರ್ಷ ನಮಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಲಾಭವಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ವರ್ಷ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಸ್ತಿಯ ಮೇಲೆ 20,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಸವಕಳಿಯನ್ನು ಹಾಕಬೇಕಾದಂತಹ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಭಾಂಶ ಇಲ್ಲದಿದ್ದಾಗ ಇತರೆ ಮೂಲಗಳಿಂದ ಅಥವಾ ಇತರೆ ಶೀರ್ಷಿಕೆಯಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವ ಲಾಭಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಸವಕಳಿಯನ್ನು ಸೆಟಪ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಆದರೆ ಆ ಕರದಾತನ ಹೆಸರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಶೀರ್ಷಿಕೆಯಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆದಾಯಗಳು ಇಲ್ಲದಿದ್ದಾಗ ಆ 20,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿಯ ಸವಕಳಿಯ ಸೆಟಪ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ವರ್ಷ ಯಾವುದೂ ಲಾಭ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅವನಿಗೆ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ನಷ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾಗ ಆ 20,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿಯ ಸವಕಳಿಯನ್ನು ಮುಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹೊಂದಾಣಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಮುಂದಿನ ಈಗ ಮುಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹಿತ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಲಾಭ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅದರ ಮುಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಹೀಗೆ ಅನಿಯಮಿತ ಅವಧಿಯವರೆಗೆ ಆ ಸವಕಳಿಯನ್ನು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಹೊಂದಾಣಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಲು ಅವಕಾಶವಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ನೋಡಿ, ಈಗ ಇದೊಂದು ಹೊಸ ನಿಯಮ. ಈ ನಿಯಮದ ಅನುಸಾರವಾಗಿ ಈಗ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬಿಸಿನೆಸ್ ಮೆನ್ಗಳು ಬಹಳ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾದಂಥ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಪ್ರಾರಂಭದ 2-3 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಲಾಭಾಂಶ ಶೂನ್ಯವಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ಆ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಬಹಳ ಪ್ರಯೋಜನವಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 36 to 37 ಅಲ್ಲಿ 37 ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆರ್ ಅಲೋಯಬಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸಸ್. ಇನ್ಶೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 36(1). If any insurance charge on the asset, it is allowable expenses of the allowable business expenses. Bonus or commission paid to employees. Any bonus or commission paid to employees is a business expenses. Interest on borrowed capital section 36(1) to 40. If any interest paid on borrowed capital, it is a business expenses. While calculating income or while calculating profits from the business, there are certain expenses are allowable, certain expenses are disallowable. Under section 36 to 27, the following expenses are allowable expenses. They are purely business expenses. Discount on zero coupon bonds is deductible by issuing company on pro rata basis. Contribution to recognized provident fund or approved superannuation fund of employees under section 36. Contribution to pension schemes of employees. Any contribution of an employer by way of contribution towards a pension scheme for an employee up to 10% of salary shall be allowed as a deduction. Only 10% of the salary, not more than that. Contribution to approved gratuity fund, section 36. Contribution received from employees when deposited, section 36(1). Provident fund, that is nothing but provident fund. Animals used for the business, section 36. Now, in case of, we can use in some businesses animals. We can claim depreciation. General expenditure for the purpose of business or appropriation, section 37. Any other expenditure not covered by section 30 or 36, which is of a revenue nature, will be allowed as a deduction provided it is incurred exclusively for the purpose of business or a profession. Means any revenue nature expenses are allowed. Capital nature expenses are disallowed. Embezzlement of cash, expenses on local festivals such as Diwali, Muhurta, etc. Cash shortage fund in the business at the end of the day, entertainment expenses, advertisement expenses. For advertisement expenses, if it is paid in check only. Traveling expenses, guest house expenses, lawful expenses related to illegal business, premium on redemption of debentures, discount on issue of debentures on pro rata basis. Expenses not deductible under section 37. There are certain expenses already debited in the profit and loss account. These expenses are not allowed by the IT Act. We'll see one by one which they are. Donations, charities, gifts to relatives, income tax, advance income tax paid, wealth tax, fines and penalties for a breach of any laws, personal drawings, salary to owner or a proprietor, interest on proprietor's capital. These are under section 37 non-deductible expenses. If it is already debited in the profit and loss account as per IT rules, these are non-deductible expenses. We will continue. 11th, capital expenditure means purchase of assets or any other nature. All capital expenditure, purchase of an assets, extension of buildings, personal expenditures, household expenses, drawings, education expenses of children, residential telephone bill, residential electricity bill, residential maintenance. These are from non-deductible. If it is already debited, it is not allowed. Next 21. Amount transferred to reserve, amount transferred to provision for bad debts, provision for doubtful debts, provision for sale tax, provision for income tax. These are not allowed. Amount transferred to any reserve. Personal hotel expenses, reserve for doubtful debts, but deduction is allowed for actual bad debts. If there is actual bad debts, it is permitted under certain conditions. LIC and own life, any investment, deposits or any other, any expenses related to let out house properties, expenditure on advertisement, section 37 2b, it is allowed as a deduction. However, as per section 37 2b, any expenditure is incurred by an assessee on the advertisement in any souvenir, brochure, pamphlet, etc. published by a political party will not be allowed as a deduction. Now, if any expenditure incurred, assessee, advertisements. Now, some of the political parties will collect the funds from the businessman in the name of advertisement. If it is a purely political party, this is not allowed. Expense is not deductible under section 37. 29th category. In case of all assessee section 48, interest, royalty fees for technical services or any other sum chargeable to tax payable outside India without deducting tax at source, and where there is no person to be treated as an agent of person receiving this amount. This is also not allowable expenses. Salary paid outside India without deducting tax at source. Any contribution PF or any other fund if there is no arrangement for TDS form. There is no any tax deducted at source. Tax deducted at source, there is no any provision. Then for PF or any other fund, it is not permissible. Such fund is taxable under the head of salaries. Expenditure on corporate social responsibility. Corporate social with effect from assessment year 2016-17. If any expenditure under this nature, this is also not allowable. From this point, we can prepare a simple format for the computation of income or a income from profits and gains. See the pro forma for computation of income under the head profits and gains from business or a profession. PGBP. First, we have to take net profit as per profit and loss account or balance as per income and expenditure account. If income and expenditure account is given, we have to take. Add expenses expressly disallowed. Expenses expressly disallowed but debited to profit and loss account. Expenses expressly disallowed but debited to profit and loss. Expense is not allowed but debited to profit and loss account. There are certain expenses disallowed by nature by the IT Act. If it is debited, we have to add. Expense is not allowed as per IT rules but debited to P&L account. It is also not permitted. Incomes or receipts taxable under this head but not credited to P&L account. There are certain incomes. Example, income from illegal business. It is not shown, but now we can add. Automatically our profit will be more. Capital expense is debited to P&L account. Any capital expense is debited to P&L account, it is also not allowable. Personal expense is debited to P&L account is also not permitted. Expenses in excess of the allowed amount debited to P&L account. Losses not allowed but debited to P&L account. There are certain losses are there. They are already debited, but as per IT rules, this is not allowable. Expense is not relating to the previous year but debited to P&L account. Now, usually the expenses are in the next, there are certain expenses are there. They are of the last year or they are of the next year. If such expenses are included in the P&L account, that is also not allowable. Undervaluation of closing stock or overvaluation of opening stock. If there is a undervaluation of a closing stock or overvaluation of a opening stock is given, that should be taken. Then we will get the total income. Out of total income, we can deduct the sum of the items. They are expenses expressly allowed but not debited to P&L account. There are certain expenses but they are not shown in the P&L account. Expenses relating to the previous year but not debited to P&L account. Losses allowed but not debited to P&L account. Incomes or receipts not taxable under this head but credited to P&L account. Capital receipts credited to P&L account. Incomes or receipts taxable under the other head but credited to P&L account. Overvaluation of a closing stock or undervaluation of a opening stock. If such items are there, we can deduct. Finally, we will get the profits taxable under the head incomes from business or a profession. To know this meaning, we have to study one simple sum. Question number 1. The following is the profit and loss account of Mr. Keshava. For the year ended 31st March 2021, compute his taxable income from business for the year. It is a profit and loss account is given. Opening stock, purchases, wages, rent, repairs of car, wealth tax, medical expenses, general expenses, depreciation on car, advance income tax paid, profits for the year 2,70,000. Credit side. On credit side, sales is given, closing stock is given, gifts from father is given, sale of a car 1,70,000, by income tax refund 30,000. There are other information. Following further information are given. Mr. Keshav carries on his business in a rented premises, half of which is used for his residence. Now, in the profit and loss account, rent is paid given 60,000. Out of 60,000, the business expenses are 50%. 50% belong to personal nature. 50% belong to the personal nature. Second, Mr. Keshav bought a car during the year for rupees 2 lakh. Means the value of the car is 2 lakh. And it is sold for 1,70,000. 1,70,000. He charged 15% depreciation on the value of car. On the car, the depreciation is 15%. That is 30,000. The car was sold during the year for rupees 1,70,000. The use of the car was 1/4 for the personal purpose. We have to take only the 1/4 part of the depreciation. Medical expenses were incurred during the sickness of Mr. Keshav for his treatment. It is medical expenses is given, it is also in the name of personal nature. Wages include 2,500 per month on account of Mr. Keshava, driver for 10 months, means 25,000. Now we can solve this sum. Taxable income. Taxable income. Computation of taxable income of Mr. Keshava for the year 2020-21, assessment year 2021-22. Sources of income, amount rupees. Now, income from profit and gains from business and a profession. Title, profits as per profit and loss account 2,70,000. Add inadmissible expenses expressly disallowed. In the wages, the driver's salary is included 2,500. 10 months, 25,000. The car is used for both business as well as personal. The personal part is 1/4. The 1/4 part is not eligible because the 1/4 part paid is in the name of personal. 1/4 of driver salary belongs to personal. 25,000 divided by 4. 6,250 is disallowable expenses. Rent half used for residence. Out of 60,000, we have to business expenses only 30,000. The balance 30,000 is a disallowable expenses. Repairs of car, 1/4 is personal. We have to take only 1/4. 30,000 divided by 4, 7,500. Wealth tax, 20,000. Wealth tax is a not permitted expenses. Medical expenses are purely personal nature. This is also disallowable. Depreciation on car, we have to show separately. Whatever the depreciation is given, first we have to make add, then we can deduct separately. Advance income tax paid. This is also disallowable expense. Now, total 1,33,750 amount is disallowable. Means this much profit is reduced by the businessman. We have to add compulsory. 2,70,000 plus 1,33,750 his profit after adding disallowable expenses 4,03,750. On the come to the credit side of the profit and loss account, there are certain incomes are there, they are not related to this end, they are related to other end, but there are certain incomes they are exempted. We'll see one by one. Gift from father, it is comes under different head, 1 lakh rupees, and also it is a exempted income, it is 1 lakh. Sale of a car, 1,70,000, it is capital receipt, it is a capital receipts. We are selling a property, hence it is known as a capital receipts. This is also not available. A refund of income tax, it is income other than business, it is not a business income, 30,000. Now, total 3 lakh, total 3 lakh rupees is a disallowable. Other ends, after deducting 3 lakh, the income is 1,03,750. Less depreciation on car on 2 lakh rupees, 15%, 30,000. Less 1/4 personal purpose, 7,500. Depreciation of car should be given as 22,500 only. After deducting depreciation of a car, the final income is 81,250. That is income from business. In this way, we can compute income from business. Now, for your further study, refer books. Refer books. Any doubts, you can ask the questions. Now, if you like the video, you can make like it and subscribe my video channel.